The world in 1945 hovered around the United States. The United States had a position it had never had before in its history, never even close. It was now the king. And the US dollar became the global currency. In many parts of the world, even if there was a local currency, merchants didn't want it. They wanted to be paid in dollars by their own people, and on and on and on. So the dollar took on this fantastic global importance. It was, quote, as good as gold, because literally it was. It was as acceptable as a bar of gold would have been, and in the way no other currency could be. It meant that all over the world, people held on to dollars. And that has to be understood for the enormous gift to the United States that entailed. Think of it this way. If we buy something real from another country, French wine, or a Japanese made in Japan automobile, or a software program produced in Finland, or whatever it is, we pay with little green pieces of paper, dollars, that cost absolutely nothing to produce. The whole world shipped goods and services to us for our use, for our consumption, for our use to produce yet more things, and all we had to give them was a piece of paper, a cheap little green piece of paper. Even better, they didn't want to hold on to the dollar in that form because it doesn't earn you anything. So what they did was, here we go now, lend those dollars back to the United States government, getting a treasury security which pays interest. It's a dollar object. You can convert it into dollars at a moment's notice, but it pays interest. So the government is now encouraged, our politicians, to borrow because the whole world is accumulating dollars. We had that situation for the whole second half of the 20th century, and has played an enormous role in the prosperity and growth this country enjoyed. No other country was in that position. The British, by the way, had had that before. The British pound had been in the 19th century what the US dollar became in the 20th. Now, every country understood that, and every country was jealous of the United States because they wanted the benefit of producing little pieces of paper and expending them for real goods and services, only to have the people with the paper lend it back to their own government. This is a hustle that any other country would be, desperate to enjoy. They've all wanted it, but they couldn't do it because no other country was playing the role of the United States. Now, once you understand the history, you'll understand this is not sustainable. The rest of the world isn't going to lie down and not try to replicate, to grow, and to be a competitor of the United States. And if I could make one point, Katie, it's really important. This is part of something Americans have not yet wrapped their heads around. The American empire, like every empire before it, is now shrinking. Empires rise, they have a flourish, they grow, it's very impressive. And at their peak, they can't imagine that it won't last forever. It never has. Every empire, the Greek, the Roman, the Persian, the Turkish, you'll fill in the blank. They all went up, then they went down. The ride up, much more fun than the ride down. We are now in the ride down, and we better be very careful because denial, which is the way most of America is so far dealing with it, is not a solution. It doesn't go away because you pretend it isn't happening. The dollar's decline is a literal barometer week in and week out of what we're seeing. The failure in Ukraine is another one. I mean, you've got to see we didn't win in Vietnam. We didn't win in Afghanistan. We didn't win in Iraq. You can dance around it 20 different ways, but it is the truth. This is not an argument about who's the good guys and the bad guys. I'm just explaining where We are not facing a decline that is underway and that is showing us its face if only we're willing to see it. And we could have a, quote, decent soft landing. Empires do not have to go out in a horrible explosion. They can decline. Britain, not that they're a model, but after trying twice to stop the United States in the War of Independence and again the War of 1812, the British figured out we can't do this militarily, and they came to terms with their decline and being replaced by the American Empire. I don't know what's coming next. I don't know whether the Chinese will be the next empire or whether it'll be handled in a multinational way. And there's some evidence in both directions. But the United States is not able to do what it did. And one of the greatest mistakes empires in the past have made is overreaching when they can't do that anymore. And my fear is we're at a very delicate point in that process, hampered by a denial of what's going on that periodically frightens me. The world in 19...
Shalom, 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 shalom. As always, I want to give all the praises and the glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone, our elders and our teachers in this truth, our leaders in this spiritual warfare. Shalom to my fellow Hebrew Israelite brothers that are laboring in the harvest in the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and preaching the one and who are preaching the 100% truth. Shalom, shalom, shalom. So today's edification, as you can see, today's edification is called A Honest Diagnosis of Babylon, aka America. An honest diagnosis of Babylon, aka America. So that person you see on the screen there, that is Professor Richard Wolff. Professor Richard Wolff. Now this man, for years, this man has been talking a lot of sense when it comes to the American dollar and the demise of America. Now we know this to be true through Bible prophecy. But Professor Richard Wolff has always looked at what America's been doing in the world for the last 20, 30, 40 years and up to today. And he understands the decline of the United States of America. Now, what did he say? He mentioned a few things in his statement. We're just going to speak on some of them, right? He said the dollar, the green piece dollar, is just a piece of paper, right? He said it's a hustle. And he says printing the paper dollars is a hustle that the rest of the world had cotton onto. So they all started to do the same thing. They started to be part of the hustle, except because the dollar was the world reserve currency, America was able to do the best hustle out of the idea of printing money. All right? So it didn't work as well for other countries as it did for America because they are the world reserve currency. He also said that the countries have totally woken up to this hustle, that they stopped depending on the US dollar and they're starting to use their own currencies to trade with one another because they realize that America, Babylon the Great, has weaponized the US dollar. And what's happening in Russia and what's happened to Russia has literally terrified these other countries from continuing depending on the US dollar because America has weaponized its use of the US dollar. So Russia had over 600 billion US dollars in central banks around the world, which it was using as part of the payment in the SWIFT system. And what did America do? They froze that money. 600 billion. That's just over $500 billion they froze of that the Russians had in US dollars sitting in central banks around the world, which they were using to pay for stuff on the SWIFT system. So he said that was a clear message to the rest of the world that America will weaponize the US dollar to destroy an economy or to change its leadership. Hence why they're all de-dollarization is in the process. So he said all of this is backfired on America. This is expediting the decline of the United States of America, he said. He said America is an empire like any other empire. He said America is an empire like the Greek Empire, he said like the Roman Empire, he said like the Turkish Empire, he said like the Persian Empire. And he said every empire rises has to fall. They all rise and they all fall. He said with America, whether or not they want a soft landing or is it going to be a hard landing? But he said the American empire is in a total decline and there's nothing that can stop that decline, he said. And he said it's being expedited because of what America had done publicly to try to destroy Russia and the Russian economy by stealing $600 billion sitting in reserves and freezing them out of the financial SWIFT system. So he said that's just increased the speed of the decline of the United States of America. So he said America has two choices. Does it want a hard landing or a soft landing when the empire falls? Now we know it's going to be a hard landing when the American empire falls. Not going to be no soft landing for Babylon the Great. And then he finished it on when he said, what's coming next? He said, what's come next after America is out of the picture? He said he doesn't know. But we know what's coming next, right? The kingdom of heaven is coming next. That's what's coming next. We know what's coming next. When Babylon the Great falls, we know what's coming next. That's the kingdom of heaven. So this is why I said that was an honest diagnosis. And I do believe Richard Wolff is a Jake. I do believe that man is a Jake. I've been listening to him for years. He used to be on, what's his name? He used to be on RT channel, Max Kaiser show. He used to be on Max Kaiser show a lot. And he always talks sense, this man. And I do believe he's a Jake, Professor Richard Wolff. So he just gave us an honest diagnosis of Babylon the Great, aka America. If you didn't hear the beginning of this edification, I would say to you, go to the beginning and listen to every word that Richard Wolff said about Babylon the Great. All right? So let me pull out a few scriptures. We don't even need to spend long on this. I want to pull out a few scriptures. We know what's coming next. And like I said, he made a statement. He said that if America was willing, he said Americans, if they were willing to see what's in front of their face, he said the decline. If they was willing to face the decline that's coming, he said they probably could have a soft landing. But he says Americans, he said they are hard-headed. They are not willing to see the decline that's in front of them, that's being presented in front of them, that the whole world can see. When I say the whole world, those that are in the know can see that America is finito. Finito. Let me go to a couple scriptures. Because these days, boy, we don't even need to bring out all of these scriptures, but we leave that for the highways and hedges now. We can just bring out a few scriptures and shut down that's the spirit comes on me to bring out more. But this is basically what Richard Wolff was saying. Edom will be humbled. Edom is the United States of America. I'm going to speak about Babylon the Great tomorrow. I think I'm going to do a nice session tomorrow on Babylon the Great on the highways and hedges. Right? Because the only people, and I say that especially those that claim to be in the truth, that don't believe that the United States of America is Babylon the Great, is those people that have an invested interest in America being around forever. They don't want to see their prize, their prize homeland be destroyed. Any Israelite in the year 2023 that knows that he's a Hebrew Israelite, that is still prophesying and preaching that America is not Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, he has an invested interest in the United States of America. He does not want to see Babylon the Great being destroyed. when the Bible from Genesis to Revelation makes it quite clear where Babylon is. Where is this mother of harlots? And like I said, I'm going to do a session on that tomorrow. And Lord willing, you know, the Spirit's on me. We'll do that tomorrow on the highways and hedges. So anyway, Edom. Edom is another symbolic name for the United States of America. What's the subtitle here? Edom will be humbled. That's what Professor Richard Wolff said. He said every empire rises and falls. He says America, the American empire is falling. The people are not willing to face the fact, so they will be humbled. They're going to get caught up in it. They're going to be humbled, America. But we know how that humbling is going to come. It's going to come by destruction. First, it's going to come by a complete breakup of society, an internal breakdown. Then it's going to be go to war directly with the Russians. The Russians are going to fire those missiles on Babylon, those ICBM. That's going to begin in the humbling of America. And then Yahweh Shai and the angels is going to complete the humbling of Babylon the Great. I'm just going to bring out a few scriptures. Let me stop talking. So, Obadiah 1:1, the vision of Obadiah. Thus says Yahweh concerning Edom, concerning the United States of America. This is symbolically talking about America. The Edomites' HQ military stronghold is America. Their financial stronghold is the city of London. Their spiritual stronghold for Edom is the Vatican. It says, we have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador sent amongst the heathens. Arise ye and let us rise up against her in the battle. Behold, I have made thee small amongst the heathen, thou art greatly despised. What did he say? Richard Wolff said that all of these other nations have cottoned on to the hustle. He said it's a hustle. The printing of these greenback dollars is a hustle. And they try to be part of the hustle, and they realize that they can't sustain it because America is the world reserve currency. But they know the whole system is a hustle. The idea of printing, whether it's dollars, pounds, or euros, it's a hustle. But America has the biggest hustle in it because everyone is using it on the international markets, right? So he said they've woken up to the hustle, completely woken up to the hustle because of what America has done to the Russians by stealing their dollar reserves in the central banks around the world. He said the de-dollarization has gone into overdrive. So the Lord has made them small amongst the heathen and greatly despised. They are greatly despised. Everyone's saying, stop using the dollar, stop using the dollar. They said they're only going to use it if we have to buy stuff directly from America. But what does America sell? America doesn't really sell anything but social media, Facebook, iPhones, iPads. What does America sell? What does America export? What does people really want from America? When you think about it. It says the pride, and that's what Richard Wolff said. He says because of their pride, they're not willing to face. He said they're not willing to see the decline of the American empire, the American people. That's the pride of their heart. The pride of thine heart has deceived thee, America. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high. Skyscraper city, right? Where did the first skyscraper was built? It was in Chicago, right? Whose habitation is high. Skyscrapers everywhere in America. The first skyscraper was built where? I believe it was Chicago. Let's have a quick look. First skyscraper. First skyscraper in America. Let's see where it says. It says the home insurance building built in 1885 was located on the corner of Adams and LaSalle Street in Chicago. Yeah, I was right. Chicago, Illinois. It went down in history as the world's first modern skyscraper, whose habitation is high. You see that? Whose habitation, the world's first modern skyscraper, Chicago. Let's have a quick look at a few images. Whose habitation is high. Look at that. This is it here. That's the actual building there. whose habitation is high. Hope you can see that. That's Babylon. All right. The pride of thine heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that says in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? He said it's right in front of their eyes, but they can't see the decline. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, that's the emblem. That's the national bird for America. That's the emblem. That's the national emblem. Goes all the way back to the Roman Empire, because America is the reincarnation of the Roman Empire. And though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, all of their satellites they have out in space station, airplanes that are going through the skies, 747 airplanes, people that are traveling on. The Wright brothers were the first, right, to create the airplane. They're American. The fighter jets, the satellites, space stations, that sets thy nest amongst the stars. Thence will I bring thee down, says Yahweh. It's going to be brought down. Thence will I bring thee down. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they would not have stolen till they have had enough? That's why he said it's the greatest hustle ever, the printing of the greenback. If the great grubbers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Well, we just saw. Richard Wolff was just confessing the hidden things that people that he said, you have to know the history. What do we always say? You have to know the history to know the mystery. That's how he started his session. He said, you have to know the history. He went back to 1945. So many people don't know the history of these nations and how they came to be. They don't know. Obadiah's got so much in it. Daniel chapter 7. This is what's coming next. This is when all is said and done, the war, this is what's coming next. It's the kingdom. But even before, yeah, and this is who's bringing the kingdom. Let's just quickly get it up. Isaiah 63. This is who's bringing the kingdom. God's vengeance on the nations. Isaiah 63:1. Who is it? Who is this that comes from Edom, from America? Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, with dyed garments from Bozrah. Bozrah is talking about America. Bozrah was the capital of ancient Edom. This is talking about the capital of modern Eden, Washington. Bozrah would, in a sense, be symbolic for Washington, but it's all talking about America. This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. This is what's coming next, Richard Wolff. This is, once the empire falls, this is what's coming next. Richard Wolff says he doesn't know what's coming next. He said, is it going to be the Chinese? Is it going to be the East Indians, the Russians? No, it's going to be Yahweh Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai. The Most High is sending his son. This is what's coming next once the empire has fallen. Because Yahweh Shai is going to play a major part in the fall and the destruction of Babylon the Great. I that speak in righteousness mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine press? All symbolic, parabolic language for the amount of blood that's going to be shed. I have trodden the winepress alone. The winepress is going to be the people, the nations, the countries that the Lord has come to take down. Babylon the Great, because this is specifically talking about Edom. And of the people, there is none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger and trample them in my fury. And their what? And their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments. Parabolic language, not literally on his garments, but that's the amount of blood that's going to be shed when Yahweh Shai comes to take down Babylon the Great and the other nations. And I will stain all my remnant, for the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. Well, praise it to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Well, praise it to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. So we're going to finish here in Daniel. I wasn't going to spend long on this. I want to go to yes. The Son of Man presented. This is the same man that's coming from Edom. This is the same man here. This is, who is it that's coming from Edom with dyed garments? This is the Son of Man. That's Yahweh Shai. This is the same person here. These are the same visions. These are the same things. Daniel 7:13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man, Yahushai, came with the clouds of heaven, the chariots, came to the Ancient of Days, the Most High. He came to his Father, the Most High, Yahweh. As you can see, they are separate entities, the Son of Man and the Ancient of Days. They are two separate beings in the heavens of heavens. And they brought him near before him. He came to present himself before his Father with the angels in the chariots. And there was given him dominion, and all people, nations, and languages should serve him. This is what's coming next. They're going to be serving Yahushai, the Israelites, the kingdom of heaven coming to earth. King David sitting on his throne, the 12 disciples on their thrones. This is what's coming next once the empire falls. The empire ain't coming back. There's not going to be no movie where it says, what's that Star Wars movie? The Empire Strikes Back. Empire ain't striking back. This is the end of Esau's empire. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So there was given unto him, who? To Yahushai, and glory, dominion, and glory, and kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom, that which shall not be destroyed. So this is what's coming next. It's Yahushai's kingdom. As the Ezra says here, and we're going to finish here. As Ezra said here, it was a powerful talk that he had there. I think, is it 701 or 6? I think it's 6. Is it 601 or 7? Yeah, 6. This is what's coming next, Esau. 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. The scripture that I'm thinking of that's just kind of come to mind. Is it? Just quickly look in my 1 second. Scripture that's come to mind. That this kind of came to mind. Ecclesiasticus. Hold on 1 second. I don't find it. We won't bother about it. Just a look. Hateful pride. 11. Yeah, I found it. All right, so this is what's coming next. Yahushua is coming to bring it, and this is what's going to take place. Boy, if Richard Wolff ever gets to see this video, boy, if dear Professor Richard Wolff, if you ever get to see this video, I'm not sure you will, but if you do, somehow in the spirit, you get to see it, it gets diverted to you. Esau's world, the Edomites, the so-called European, the so-called white man's rulership is coming to a complete end. Yahushua's kingdom is coming to be established on earth. And this is what's going to take place. This is how it's going to take place. For all the things that you said, just so you can see. Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, as you said, Richard Wolff, it's the greatest hustle ever. The printing of the greenback, the paperback. Greatest hustle ever. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. This is talking about Babylon, America. The kingdom, Esau's kingdom, is translated from one people to another. So the people that it's going to be translated to, Professor Wolff, if you ever get to see this video, is the Israelites. For Esau, the Edomites, the so-called white man, the Europeans, is the end of the world. His stronghold, Edom, is America, Babylon the Great. Going to be totally destroyed by nuclear fire and the chariots of the Lord and the angels. For Esau is the end of the world. His rulership's coming to an end. And Jacob, the Israelites, who is Jacob? African Americans, all the descendants from the transatlantic slave trade. Today, who they call African Americans, West Indians, and Caribbeans, and Haitians, and Dominicans. The descendants of the Native American Indian tribes of North, South America, and Canada. Today, who they call Latinos, Hispanics, Mexicans, and Puerto Ricans. And the Israelite Gentiles that are scattered and mixed amongst the other nations. The elect, only the elect of those people are going to survive the destruction and the judgment to rule over the world. This is the new kingdom. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. It's as simple as that. This is what's coming. So, say no more. I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, if you didn't see the beginning of this video, I would advise you to go to the beginning and listen to what Professor Richard Wolff had to say. As always, I want to give the praises and the glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone, our teachers and our leaders in this spiritual warfare. We're leading this war, this truth in spirit and sincerity. And salutation to my fellow Hebrew Israelite brothers out there that are teaching and preaching on the highway, the 100% truth. Shalom, shalom, shalom to those brothers and sisters who have been edified by the 100% truth. All praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Shalom, 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 family. All praises.